What's up, guys? This is Mike here with Ninja Trading. So, today will be the first episode. We're doing something a little bit different. This is the start of our psychology series and the psychological series. So, this will be different from any of the technical and the analysis videos that we're doing because psychology is just as important, if not more important than the technicals, right? You can have all of the levels marked out, you can have all of this and that, but if you don't take the trade, if you psych yourself out, if you, um, don't have a plan, then so many times like I see people have all the right levels and then they don't take a trade and then they either try to FOMO in later or take a revenge trade and um, it just goes down the drain. Hey, I've done it too, right? Like I'm not perfect. I just know when to catch myself, right? I've had obviously the more my trading career I go, the less that this happens to me. But I've FOMO traded, I've revenge traded, I've traded when I was tired and I shouldn't have been. I was traded when something else was going on that was really distracting me that I shouldn't have traded. I've traded to where um, it's the plan part. I mean, early in my trading career, there was times where I didn't have a plan. Um, Especially my early days, right, when Bitcoin was like 20K, and you had a long, still in the bear market, I would have a long, it would get in like 10-20% profits, take no profits, and then I would end up, exiting negative 25%. So that was early in my trading career. So in this series, what I want to do is there's a couple of topics I would like to cover, but I've had a lot of comments in the Discord in our trading group of people really wanting a psychological series. So I'll cover the topics that I want to cover, but you guys either in the comments or in the Discord, um, give me topics or scenarios that you'd like to cover that you're struggling with, or maybe that you're not consistent with, right? So first things first, because of the events of today, as you can see on the charts, we had a massive drop, right? So first things first, what you need to understand is there's always the next trade. So this is kind of skipping ahead to a more deeper topic, and I'll cover a little bit of basics today. So there's always the next trade. So in something like this, you definitely don't want to FOMO. You want to wait, be patient. If you miss the trade, right, like all along here, right? If you miss the trade and you FOMO'd, especially like right here, like oh my god, I missed the trade, I'm gonna FOMO, right? And you finally longed, you would have got massively wrecked, especially if you didn't have a stop loss, right? Whereas, we were patient, waiting for the short, and then finally, boom, it played out. So there's always the next trade. Like over here, like while we're here, like oh my god, maybe Bitcoin will never go below 45K. Maybe Bitcoin will never go below 50K. So actually, right here, right, like it was looking like Bitcoin was not gonna drop below 50K for a long time, and then look, we have opportunity of Bitcoin below 50K. So there's always the next trade. Bitcoin is always going to move. I think it should, right? There's no reason for it not to. Um, so never take a trade. Never FOMO. Never ever FOMO to a trade, right? If you miss one, put it in your journal. Put it in your entries, right, on why you missed it. Um, but first things first. So that's kind of off topic, but first things first I want to cover is number one, you have to have a plan and a goal in place for trading. And here's what I mean, right? So, first things first, you have to decide what type of trader are you. Are you the type that, only wants to put in a couple of hours and enter in trades once in a while, maybe once a week, once a month, and just long-term trade Bitcoin, right? Which is a very valid strategy looking at, Bitcoin's trajectory. Are you the type of person that, kind of semi frequently day trades, maybe one or two trades a day? Or are you like a high frequency trader, right? Like you'll sit in front of the computer for 8 hours and you just scout for 8 hours and then you're good to go. So number one, you have to decide that, right? Because a lot of your trading strategy, what you have to learn, how much time you have to spend to learning, what kind of analysis, how big your take profit positions are, depends on that, right? And there's no right or wrong answer, right? So, but you have to get that down in your head because think about it, right? If you're the type of person which you can only dedicate 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, and you want to swing trade, right? And you see all these people, putting in daily scalps on these up and down movements, right? If you've decided you're going to be a swing trader, you're not going to feel bad for missing those scalp trades because that's not your strategy, right? If you're the type of person that puts in massive loss down here, you took some profits right here, you took some profits right here, great, right? You're not worried about, oh, we put in a long here, we put in a short here, we long, short, long, short. You're not going to worry about that. And then now you have your scalp short. So you're not going to be likely to FOMO into a bad trade or just deviate from your strategy, right? Or take profits too early if you're a swing trader. Same thing with if you're a scalp trader, right? You should know that for a scalp trader, let's say you have a target of, I just want to make $1,000 every scalp. So then you hit the $1,000 profit, maybe let 10% run, and then you have to be okay with that, right? On most trades, you're probably not going to hit, like let's say on a swing trade, you could have made 20 grand on this move, right? 20 grand profit on this move, arbitrary numbers. I mean, you could start small. This could be $2,000 or $200, whatever it might be, right? Whatever you're starting. This could be 2 million, 20 mil, right? Whatever you are. So let's say you would have made a lot more. Like if you're scalping on a day and you hit your target and you hit $1,000, and that was your daily goal, and you see this person took profit and made 10 grand, you're not going to feel bad because you have scalps and you do the grand over and over again, right? You're not worried about holding this swing long. You may only have 10% of it, but you're not going to feel bad because your main strategy is scalping. Or, I mean, you can obviously do a combination of both. So having your goals and your strategies in place are definitely important because then you have to have a plan, right? So obviously we talk about having a plan with your technical analysis on entries and whatnot, but you have to have it helps with your take profit targets and whatnot in your style of trading if you know what you want to do. And then obviously there's ways to figure out what type of trader is suitable for you, and that way too, when you hit your daily target, you don't overtrade, right? You don't give those profits back, which is a very bad issue. So number one is obviously have a plan in terms of like setups, entries, and all that. That's completely different. That's like basic TA 101, right? Have to have an entry, you have to have stop loss, you have to have at least one take profit target, right? Otherwise, you have no business in being in the trade. But psychologically, it's like, am I a scalper? Because then those targets are different, and that stop loss is different, the leverage is different. Or am I a swing trader, right? Because the worst thing in trading is to get emotional, and the best way to avoid not being emotional is don't look at what other people are doing. Focus on yourself. I mean, if someone else has a good entry point for technical analysis, right? Like, obviously look at it. But I mean, if you see someone like, putting in some numbers that you like, take that as motivation. But it might not be your trading style for right now, and that's okay. So don't worry about that. Focus on your own plan. So that way, it's like if my plan is I'm a swing trader, right? I entered in a swing trade. I have a major take profit here, and then I have major take profit at 59K, and then I have a major take profit at 70K, right? That's your plan. Your plan is, your trade is going according to plan. This is great. Don't worry about all the people getting in scalp longs and shorts along the way, right? That's not your strategy. So the best way to avoid emotional trading, so the number one, at least for me, right, and I think this is most other people, like sometimes I'll have a phenomenal month and for whatever reason, like I get into emotional trading, whether it's I'm tired or like, I overtrade or, I slept through an alert and I'm like, oh man, I had that level marked for like 2 weeks and I slept through the alert, and then like that's happened before and you give back like 80% of your profits for the month, right? Like that happens. So the number one thing is to avoid emotional trading, and the best way to avoid emotional trading is if you have a plan, like treat trading as perfectly mathematical and a game of statistics and probabilities, right? Take emotion completely out of it, and that's how you run your trading business, right? So if you have a plan, there'll be no emotions, right? Because it doesn't matter what so and so did, doesn't matter what this person did, doesn't matter what this other person in the group did. You stuck to your plan. You hit your plan. Either you were right on the trade or you were wrong on the trade. Doesn't matter. You hit the plan. You're stuck to it. There's no like, do I FOMO? Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Do I revenge trade? Like, it doesn't deviate you from your plan. So, hope that helps. That's episode number 1. Definitely, there's a lot of other topics to cover, but definitely I would make sure your psychological is down, or not down, but like you have it down, right? because I've gone through periods to where um, I saw the charts very well, and then as soon as like here's an example, right, for psychology, right, like I had my own rules to not overtrade, and there was a month back here where like for 3 weeks, I think it was like right here somewhere. For 3 weeks, I literally caught all the longs and shorts, like all these tops and bottoms perfectly, and I think there was a week where I wasn't getting it, and just in a week I gave back like 60% of 3 weeks profits. Um, so that was like my latest. It was either right here or right here, but I think it was right here. But but it happens. It happens to everybody because for me it was a different type of motion. I didn't follow my plan. It was like in that first week I hit my goals. I should have stopped. Right. That's for me. It's a little bit different. I mean, I could still give the signals, but I can just stop myself. Right. Um, but you have to stick with your plan. Like if you hit your goals and you hit your targets, and you have to stop because I was so on fire that sometimes if your training is too good, you have to take a break, right? If it's too bad, you have to take a break. But if it's too good, you have to take a break because then I got emotional because I was like getting frustrated because I was able to see like 90% of all the tops and bottoms in a certain area, and then for like the next 4 or 5 trades, I was like taking 1 or 2% losses, and I was like, why is this happening? And then that it just started to high frequency put in bad trades, and the 1 or 2% compounded. So in the bad way, right? So I mean, I'm not perfect, and as long as you recognize those and you don't do it forever, and you have your stops so you don't go negative. That's fine as long as you're still profitable and you catch it and you know those things. So that's an example. Hope that helps, guys. But just know that like a lot of when you get to a place where you can trade objective or subjectively, whatever the English word is, or objectively, and not do it out of emotion, that would be the biggest step, more so than any TA that you could learn. Um, because, I mean, I give you trades, so you don't really need that good of a TA. But if you don't have the right the psychological foundation, then it's very hard to succeed. So, yeah, look forward to seeing what topics you guys would like to cover, and then let's take this unique series and take you guys all to the next level.